Hey guys, welcome to my channel, and today I'm recording Cambridge O Level 5070 Paper 1. This is an MCQ paper, variant 2, and this is made in 2021. I've already solved its part 1, where I've solved 10 MCQs from this question paper, and I'm going to be solving ahead. So without any further ado, let's get started. To check out my part 1, I'll drop the link in the description below, or you can find the link somewhere over here. Let's start question MCQ number 11. MCQ number 11 says the relative formula masses of 4 compounds are given. A student has 1 gram sample of each compound. The sample contains the highest number of moles of oxygen atoms. So if you look at the compound, it's Al2O3CO and H2SO4HNO3. Relative formula mass. Now the sample contains the highest number of moles of oxygen. We need to calculate separately for each, and if we calculate over here, we can also have a great idea just by looking at the question that which of it has greater number of oxygen as compared to the other elements. So if we look over here, we have 2:3 ratio, then we have 1:1 ratio, then we have 2:3, that means 3:4 ratio, and then here we have 2:3 ratio. But the thing is that now if we look at the ratio part, we have least ratio in these two cases, right? Alright, so then we are going to calculate it that which one has a lesser mass and which one has a greater mass, and according to it we can find the relative formula mass of it. So for this we can do in this way that if you want to find the relative formula mass, we can consider 3 multiplied by oxygen, that is total oxygen, and divided by the relative formula mass, the total mass. So for this, the answer, if I calculate it, since I've already calculated it, so the answer for this was D, since there was greatest number of moles of oxygen atoms here. Moving on to question number 12. 10 centimeter cube of propane is burned in 70 centimeter cube of oxygen in a closed container. What is the total number of gas present after reaction? Assume all volumes of gases are measured at room temperature and pressure. Unlike the previous question here, you can also, I forgot to tell you one thing, that if you want to know the AR for oxygen, you want to know the mass of oxygen, so it is 16. You can check it out in the periodic table, which is given to you in the end of the question paper. So over here you can multiply 3 with 16 and then divide by the relative formula mass. Pretty simple question. So that's what I have to tell you, that we have a periodic table given to us, and make sure you practice using a periodic table, so when you're in examination it's more on your fingertips. Then you have to constantly refer to it, since you only have 1 hour for this paper, so it's better to play smartly. McQ number 12, 10 centimeter cube of propane is burned in 70 centimeter cube of oxygen in a closed container. C3H8 5O2. This is an equation given to us. What is the total volume of gas present after the reaction? So if we look over here, we have this whole equation given to us. We have 10 centimeter cube of propane, which is burned in 70 centimeter cube of oxygen in a closed container. So what is the total volume of gas present after this reaction? The total number of gas, here we are talking about carbon dioxide mainly. You can easily put the ratio method. If you check out my theory papers, I've solved so many of this kind of questions over there. And even over here, if we look, we have this quite, one whole ratio formed with us. Number of moles ratio, we have 3 CO2. So in this way you can easily find out, and since it is at room temperature, so we need to consider 24 dm cube or 24,000 centimeter cube as its normal volume of gas at room temperature and pressure. So for this, if we calculate, since to avoid hassle, I usually calculate things and I give you guys a concept for it. So over here the answer that I got was 50 centimeter cube. Moving on to MCQ number 13. In case you have any problem in this, that how to solve it, you can check out my theory videos, or in case you still have any kind of problem, you can drop it in the comment section down below, and I'll explain this to you properly in my further parts of the video. Moving on to MCQ number 13, when a mixture of sodium chloride and sodium hydrogen carbonate is heated, the reaction shown takes place. 2NaHCO3 and Na2CO3. We also have carbon dioxide and water. Sodium chloride is unchanged on heating. When 6 grams of mixture is heated, the loss in mass is 1.5 gram. What is the percentage by mass of sodium hydrogen carbonate in the mixture? Now let's mark the most important things over here. We have 6 grams of mixture, alright, and if we look over here, the loss in mass is 1.5 grams. What is the percentage by mass of sodium hydrogen carbonate in the mixture? So if we look over here, we need to know that what is the percentage by mass of sodium hydrogen carbonate in the mixture. It's pretty simple. Sodium chloride is unchanged on heating. It remains the same. 6 grams of mixture is heated and we have 1.5 grams is already lost, which means how much has been gained in the end. So we are going to subtract 6 is 1.5 and the answer would be around 5, that is 4.5, right? So we have 4.5 grams left with us, and using the moles and also the percentage formula, we can easily find out the percentage by mass. Using relative molecular formula, you can use moles formula. So with this all, you can easily solve the question. Again, I've solved these questions so many times. Since papers are closed, consider it as crash. MCQ paper, of course, I'm not giving a lot of time to every question while solving it. I'm just trying to, give you a brief overview of the whole question. In case you have any issue or you want this topic to be separately explained, make sure to mention it in the comment section. Or you have any problem, you cannot understand how to solve it, or you want a solution for it, you can comment down and I will reply to you there and then in the comment section down below. So no worries, do not worry. Everything is going to be easy and you're going to be able to solve it very easily. So MCQ number 13, since I've already calculated it, its answer was 68%. Moving on to MCQ number 14, molten sodium chloride is electrolyzed. Which change occurs at the cathode? So here we are considering molten sodium chloride. That means no water is involved. If we look over here, molten sodium chloride means pure sodium chloride, which is in liquid form. That means it's melted in liquid form. Alright, so if we look over here, so sodium ions are not oxidized, but they are reduced. So for this, the answer must be that sodium ions are reduced. Alright. And since we are talking about cathode over here, we are going to talk about sodium ions and we are not concerned with the chloride ions. So moving on to MCQ number 15, which positive ions are present in aqueous copper 2 sulfate? Positive ions in aqueous copper 2 sulfate, since we have aqueous copper 2 sulfate, so we have water with us too, since it's in aqueous form. So here we have water. And then we have copper 2 sulfate as well. If you look at copper 2 sulfate, so it has copper 2 ions. That is a positive ion. And then if we look at aqueous, that is water. So here we have H plus and OH minus. So the positive ion over here is hydrogen ion and over here is copper 2 ion. So for this, the answer is B. Moving on to MCQ number 16, natural gas is used as a source of energy. What is the main compound in natural gas? A very main compound in natural gas is obviously going to be methane. Okay, since it's a fact, and because methane is can easily be consumed as a fuel. That is why we use methane, since it has shorter carbon chain and all. So there are so many reasons behind it in organic chemistry chapter. You all, I'm sure, must have come across through it. MCQ number 17 says ethanol is produced by the fermentation of glucose from sugarcane. In some countries, ethanol is used as fuel. This statement is correct. Sugarcane is a non-renewable finite resource. Or 2, when sugarcane is growing, it removes carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. So if you look over here, sugarcane is a non-renewable finite resource. Okay, let's highlight few things over here. Ethanol is produced by fermentation of glucose of sugarcane. We're talking about ethanol. Alright, in some countries, ethanol is used as a fuel as well. So, sugarcane is not a non-renewable resource. As we know, we can grow as many as we want. If we cut down sugarcane, we can grow them too. So, it's not a finite resource. It is something that can be sown again, and then they'll grow again. You can harvest them multiple times. So, of course, 1 is not the right answer. 2, when sugarcane is growing, it removes carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. Of course, it's a plant, so it is going to, absorb carbon dioxide. And also, 2 the right answer, B the right answer, 2 only the right answer. Moving on to MCQ number 18, which says aqueous sodium thiosulfate reacts with hydrochloric acid. The rate of the reaction increases if the concentration of both reactants is increased. Nitrogen gas reacts with hydrogen gas. The rate of reaction increases if the pressure in the reaction vessel is increased. Which law correctly explains why the given change increases the rate of reaction? So, over here, if you see aqueous sodium thiosulfate and hydrochloric acid, they're going to have higher frequency of collisions between particles. And since it's a longer question, let me highlight for you a few important points. So over here, a reaction is taking place, rate of reaction increases if the concentration of both reactants is increased. Nitrogen gas reacts with hydrogen gas. The rate of reaction increases if the pressure in the reaction vessel is increased. We have 2 reactions given over here. So over here, if we look over here, so higher, because it's going to be greater concentration, means more particles, hence greater collision with higher frequency. So this is going to be the right answer. And if we look at the pressure part, so pressure is again the same thing, high frequency of collision between the particles. So its answer is A. Obviously, why can't its answer not be B, C, D or something? Because the activation energy is mainly concerned with the use of catalyst. Since here we are increasing the concentration and altering the pressure, so we are not concerned with catalyst. So that's why it's going to be A. Moving on to MCQ number 19, magnesium reacts with sulfuric acid. 2 experiments are carried out at 25 degrees Celsius. Experiment 1 is 24 grams of powdered magnesium is reacted with 100 centimeter cube of 1 mole per dm cube sulfuric acid and 24 grams of powder. So we have, in both cases, we have powdered magnesium and they reacted with 50 centimeter cube of 2 mole per dm cube of sulfuric acid. So here, sulfuric acid's concentration is different. During experiment, the volume of hydrogen produced is measured. The results are plotted. So if we look over here, as we can see, we will have greater reaction in experiment number 2. The graph will be much more steeper. However, since the amount is same, so they're going to be producing enough amount of volume of hydrogen since the magnesium amount is same. And even this, if we calculate the mass, then it's going to be same. So over here, the answer will not be C and D, of course, because both the graphs should have equal volume. But since experiment number 2 is with greater concentration, so of course it's going to have much steeper graph. Moving on to MCQ number 20, solution X is colorless. A few drops of aqueous potassium iodide solution are added to a sample of X. No change is seen. Solution Y is colorless. A few drops of aqueous potassium magnate solution are added to sample of Y. The color of potassium magnate disappears. What can be deduced about X and Y from these 2 observations? From these 2 observations, of course, we can easily deduce that Y is a reducing agent firstly. Let's highlight again. Solution X is colorless. Few drops of aqueous potassium iodide are added to a sample and no change is seen. Since no change is seen, so of course it's not an oxidizing agent. So this cannot be the right answer. And if we look over here, solution white colorless, a few drops of aqueous acidified calcium magnate is added. And of course, there's a reaction seen over here. So Y is definitely a reducing agent, and X is not an oxidizing agent. So its answer is going to be 20. For 20, it's going to be D. So this is it for this part. I hope you found it helpful. In case you have any questions, make sure to drop it in the comment section down below. I'm going to be uploading all the parts really soon, the further parts really soon, so make sure you check them out. And thank you so much for watching, and best of luck for your exams.